Radio talk show host Rush Limbaugh once said that the most industrious people in the world must live in Florida, because how else could you do a day's work with scenery like this? We moved our factory, Emery Thompson, from the Bronx, New York, where we were for 100 years, down to Tampa, Florida, and this is one of the side benefits of living in Florida. I'm Steve Thompson, Chairman and President of Emery Thompson Machinery, and today I'm going to teach you how to make Italian ice. Not just Italian ice, but frozen lemonade, sorbet, sorbetto, water ice, anything that is a combination of sugar, water, and fruit juice. Now, I'm not just going to teach you how to make Italian ice. I'm going to teach you everything about Italian ice. I'm going to teach you how to make the product, how to store it, where to get the best flavors, which groups of people like to have different flavors. You're going to know absolutely everything about Italian ice by the time this tape is finished. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, and Babe Ruth was asked once about his hitting prowess, and he answered with, "It ain't bragging if you can do it." In 1905, Emery Thompson, my grandfather, invented the world's first modern-day batch freezer. That's 103 years that we've been manufacturing batch freezers, longer than anyone else in the world. In fact, you could say that we were putting gelato into Rome, Italy before the Italians, because the first Italian machine didn't come along till about 30 years later. Today I'm going to show you, as I promised, all about Italian ice, how to make it, how to store it, the different levels of quality. But let me first show you the different machines that we have. We're on our factory floor today. This is a brand new factory that we built, 20,000 square feet of modern factory just north of Tampa, Florida. As I told you earlier, we moved down from the Bronx, New York, where we were for 100 years. Our latest machine is a countertop batch freezer. This is actually a countertop version of the world's largest batch freezer, the 44 quart, which we're going to run in a few minutes. This operates just like all our other batch freezers. It's built on the same principles and same concepts, so the quality is exactly the same as the larger machines. We expect this machine, like every Emery Thompson, to last 40 to 45 years. All the product is poured into the front of the machine and then will be discharged out the chute when it's ready. This one makes 5 to 6 quarts of product every time you run it, and so it's an ideal machine for restaurants and hotels. However, it has found other uses that people who want to get into business, whether it's ice cream, gelato, sorbets, Italian ices, are buying this machine because it's a great machine to get your business going, and then you move up to a larger machine. I doubt that we'll ever see anyone trade one of these in, because they'll just move it to a second location as their business grows. It has our infinite overrun control. This is something that I designed along with the rest of the machine that is very unique to the industry. You've probably seen Italian machines where they have a variable speed on them. That's called a rheostat. You're familiar with a rheostat. You have one maybe in your dining room to turn down the lights in your dining room. When you turn down the lights in the dining room, you're actually reducing the power to the light bulbs. Same thing with a drive motor, what is driving the whole system here. As you pot it down, as they call it, you are taking horsepower away from the motor. So a large 7.5 horsepower motor like we're going to use over there now comes down to about a 2 or 3 horsepower. That's the last thing you want when you're making a product as thick as Italian ice. Italian ice sorbet is the consistency of wet cement when we pull it out of the machine, so we literally have to build a cement mixer. With my infinite overrun control, we are able to adjust the speed of the drive. We can lower it, we can raise it without losing any of the horsepower to the machine. What that means is you have a machine that, when equipped with the infinite overrun control, can, in ice cream, make a high air content ice cream like a Breyers. It can make a medium air content, say like Ben & Jerry's or Haagen-Dazs, 2 companies that my father helped put into business. Or you can run a very, very low air content ice cream like you would find in artisan gelato or frozen custard. Now, when we do the Italian ices and sorbets and other water ice products, frozen lemonade, we're running on the high speed, because sugar, water, and fresh fruit don't take on air. They don't really expand. If you took an Italian ice formula and put it into ice cube trays and put it into your home freezer, it'll expand 17%. You've seen that. You've put an ice cube tray in and you see how the ice cubes crown over. That's the normal expansion of water. So there's no need for this control if you're only doing sugar water products. If you're going to do gelatos, like here is some gelato flavor from Italy. Fabri is a company that's as old as us, and they do a very fine job. That's where I get gelato flavors from. That's our 5 to 6 quart machine. This is the next size up. This is our 12 quart machine. Now before I tell you about that, let me tell you how we make our cylinders. It's completely different from anyone else. Other people take a flat, thin piece of steel, which this is not. They take a thin sheet and they stamp it. Stamping it into a cylinder, or what I call a spaghetti pot, can only be so thick because the machinery that stamps it can only handle so much. We don't do that. We use plate stainless steel. This is 6 times thicker than any other machine on the market. We take this plate steel and we roll it, and then we heliarc weld it, and that forms our barrel. So our barrel, being 6 times thicker than any other barrel on the market, is never going to wear out. This is a finished cylinder, and then we have wrapped it with copper tubing and we've foam insulated it, so all the cold that's generated goes right back into the cylinder and not out into the open air. Let me just pick this up and show you. We use pure copper tubing in all our machines. Now my General Motors car, the air conditioning system has aluminum tubing, because General Motors knows I'm not going to keep that car more than 10 years. And after about 10 years, aluminum tubing, which is 1/7 the cost of this, aluminum tubing develops holes in it and it starts to leak. Seamless copper tubing like this is quite expensive, but it'll never wear out. Theoretically, 100 years from now, this same cylinder will keep running flawlessly without any type of leak. Now these machines, this is our 12 quart machine, and this will make 1 3-gallon tub every time you run it. Whether that's Italian ices or ice cream or gelato, this is going to be the capacity of it, is 1 3-gallon tub. The door that you see here is a design that in our company goes back about 80 years, and it's designed to help push the product out of the machine when it's ready. It's also designed with the curves and all, so that when I pour product in here, everything will be dispersed throughout the cylinder. This is the only machine on the market where we recommend that you put whole nuts, whole cookies, strawberries, chocolate chips right into the cylinder. It has a very large opening here, so I can take whole bananas, just dump them right in. I take cookies, throw it right in here. When the product's ready, there's a very large discharge gate here to get the product out in 30 seconds. Now that's important, that we get the product out fast. Imagine if you were broiling a steak at home, and after 12 minutes the steak is ready, but then it takes you a minute or 2 minutes to get the steak out. What happens to that steak? 2 extra minutes of heating, it's going to be, your medium rare steak is going to be overcooked. Same thing especially in ice creams, not so much in sorbets, but in ice cream, if it takes a long time to get the product out of the machine, then the first product out is going to weigh differently than the last product. The first product will weigh heavier than the last product. By having this large opening and getting everything out in 30 seconds, we guarantee that the first product and the last product are going to weigh the same. This is the cylinder for, this is the cylinder for the next size machine. This is the 24 quart machine, and this is going to make 2 tubs. This is going to make 2 tubs of whatever product you want to produce. Same design, we've rolled the cylinder, we'll wrap this in copper tubing and then foam insulate it. That brass head ring that you see on the front of it is because that door weighs so much. It's cast stainless steel, it weighs so much that we need a brass head ring just to hold the door onto the machine. Again, the infinite overrun control, and that's going to be if you want to do artisan gelatos and Haagen-Dazs style ice cream. If you're going to do traditional, old-fashioned, high-quality American ice cream and just water ice products, you don't need this control. You don't need to pay the extra money for it. This, of course, is just the control panel. The real operating system is buried in the machine where it's nice and safe. Now, this is the world's largest production batch freezer. I'm not even going to attempt to lift this up. But this is our 44-quart batch freezer. No one makes a larger machine than this, and we've been making this for about 95 years. We actually made one 3 times this size many, many years ago, but there isn't much market for anything that big because it literally took a block and tackle or a crane to lift the parts into the machine. So now we're going to run this machine today. This is the 44-quart batch freezer, and I'm going to teach you all about making Italian ices. Now, the first thing I want you to know that there are 3 levels of Italian ice flavor. I have a lot of people who say, Steve, I only want to make the very best. And I say, that's great. I couldn't agree with you more. I want to make the very best product too. So when I can, we're going to use fresh fruit. I'm going to use fresh lemon juice that I've squeezed. I'm going to use fresh orange juice, fresh mangoes if I can get them and if I can afford them. They're all going to make a wonderful fresh product. And the food cost on that, how much it costs per ounce for me, the customer, to consume, it's going to cost 1 penny and a half, 1.5 cents to use fresh fruit. So my 4-ounce portion that I'm going to serve, and I'm going to show you that size later, is only going to cost me 6 cents. And I'm going to sell that anywhere from $1.50 up to $5, depending on where I'm selling it. The next step down from fresh fruit, where practical, is going to be a base. A base is a gallon jug of flavor. And this is going to be flavors like kiwi or mango or watermelon or cherry. And you pour one of these into the machine along with your sugar and your water, and that's going to make, say, cherry Italian ice. It's very good. It's the best way to get cherry Italian ice. You can't get cherries year-round, so this is the way to do it. Also along that line, I might use crushed pineapple in my sorbet. Down at Cafe Ferrara in Little Italy, they don't use this exact product. This is Taster's Choice. But at Cafe Ferrara on Broome Street in Little Italy, they're making a cappuccino Italian ice. I'll tell you, you have one of their cappuccino Italian ices and you're awake for the next 5 days. It's so strong. They actually use the dregs of the cappuccino machine and put it into the batch freezer to make their cappuccino Italian ice. Here's Coco Lopez, which helps make a great coconut Italian ice. I have formulas for all these. All you have to do is call me up and I'll be happy to share them with you. Now that's the second level down, and using any of these products is going to cost you about 1 cent per ounce. So again, that 4-ounce portion cost 4 cents. There's just no more profitable frozen dessert that you can do than Italian ice. Now the final level down, and I hear people say, oh, I'm never going this low, is to use an extract. But if you want to make bubble gum or watermelon, you need to use an extract. You can't chew bubble gum and then throw the flavor into the machine. So the manufacturers make a bubble gum extract. It's highly concentrated. The formulation on this might be use 4 ounces of bubble gum to a whole full-size batch freezer. This comes down to half a penny an ounce to produce. So that 4-ounce portion that you're selling for $1.50 just cost you 2 cents. You can't do any better than that. So my secret Italian ice formula is going to consist of water, sugar, and the flavor. Now I'm going to bring the water over, and again, this machine makes not just 1, 2, 3, 4 of these tubs every time you run it. That's a lot of production. Now the water is going to go into the machine along with the sugar and the flavor, and that's going to be the extent of my secret formula. Not very secret, is it? But it works. Different parts of the country call this product different things. In Birmingham, Alabama, there were 4 Greek brothers, and they left New York and they went down to Birmingham to sell Italian ice and make their fortune. So what do they call it? Greek ice. Out in Hawaii, I have a friend out there. He's from Astoria, Queens, New York, and he sells Hawaiian ice. It's still the same thing, what we in the Northeast call Italian ice. Now, it doesn't matter how much sugar I put into each of these buckets because it's all going to end up in the same machine anyway. So the final mixing will be done inside the machine. Now, if there is a secret to Italian ice, it's actually the sugar. Now, I don't mean the quality. It doesn't have to be bartender's sugar, which is very fine. It doesn't have to be one of the big name brands like Domino. This is just store-bought sugar, the lowest quality. They're all the same quality. The lowest price is what I should have said. So it doesn't matter whose sugar you use. Sugar is sugar. What makes a difference is if you were, say, on Coney Island Avenue in Brooklyn, and you went into a pastry shop and you ordered up a cherry Italian ice, that cherry Italian ice is going to be very coarse in texture. The Italians call that a granita or a granite. And the lower the sugar content, the more coarse the product is. By increasing the sugar, then we have what I call New York Italian ice. It's smooth, it's what we're used to, and the only difference between the granita and the New York ice is maybe 1 pound of sugar. Get down to Philadelphia, and they like a very smooth ice. They're using 2 pounds of sugar more than we are, and that higher sugar content smooths out the product. There's another customer of mine, Ralph's Italian Ices in Staten Island, and Ralph is famous for his cream ices. Now all he's doing is adding some heavy cream to this formulation, and that makes the product even smoother. It's a delicious, delicious product and something for you to try sometime. So I'm using what I call a New York formula, and I've got cold water here. Sugar dissolves quite easily in cold water. So I'm just going to stir this up, and then we're going to pour everything into the machine. Now today I'm going to use strawberries from Limpert Brothers in Vineland, New Jersey. Limpert Brothers actually began their business around the same time as Emery Thompson. Emery Thompson, my grandfather, was working at Bloomingdale's down in New York City. He was working 12-hour days making ice cream on an old rock salt and ice machine. And as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. His necessity was he was working so hard, he needed to invent a new machine. So he went back to his home in New Rochelle and came up with the first modern-day batch freezer in the world and patented it. Meanwhile, Bob Limpert, down in Vineland, New Jersey, was setting up a business of producing strawberries, farms, making the strawberries, and then turning them into a product that could go into ice cream. And so the two of them got together somewhere down the road there and came up with just fabulous products. So first I'm going to pour the water in with the sugar. Whoops. You have to pay attention to what you're doing. But it does bring up a point. If I was setting up an ice cream room or an ice cream room, this whole machine is waterproof. You can spray it down completely. And if I had all the money in the world, it would be really nice to have a central drain here. If I could have the floor pitched to a drain so I could get in here and I just spilled a little on the floor, I can just rinse that down. Again, there's different ways to sell this product. It can be sold as Italian ice. can be sold as sorbet. The only difference between Italian ice and sorbet is the price. I'm getting $2 for a scoop of Italian ice. The fancy French restaurant is getting $5 for a sorbet dessert, or they might serve it as an intermezzo, meaning that between the appetizer and the main course, they bring you out a small china dish with 3 1-ounce portions of sorbet, maybe a lemon, a grapefruit, maybe even a champagne or an apricot. And you have that to refresh your palate between the appetizer and the main course. What it means for the restaurant is pure money, because again, it only costs them, making it fresh, about a penny and a half an ounce. Now, before I pour in the last bucket, I'm going to pour my strawberries in, and I'm using, I divided this up just to make it easier to pour. These are called Dew Fresh strawberries. They're strawberries in syrup, so this is adding some additional sugar to my formulation, and I take that into account when I make this formula. If I was using a strawberry extract, I would actually add more sugar because I wouldn't be getting any from the strawberries per se. So I've got the fresh strawberries going right in the machine. This is going to make a great product. And this can is called a number 10 tin. It's a standard of the industry. It's 3 quarts. But when you hear people talking about the product that they're using, they'll refer to a number 10 tin of marshmallow or a number 10 tin of butter pecan. This is the size of it, and it's 3 quarts. Add my final water. Now, before I turn this on and we get going, I want to tell you a little bit about storing the product. In the industry, we call this a dipping cabinet. This is where the product is sold from. This is, I'm sure this has a technical name, but I call it the floppy door cabinet. Why? Because the lid flops back on itself. As opposed to what you see at Baskin-Robbins. At Baskin-Robbins, you have what's known as the visual display cabinet. You walk into the store and you can visually see the ice cream. On this one, you can't see the product. Well, we're doing this on purpose for a bunch of different reasons. One, these cabinets cost less to buy than the visual display cabinets. The visual display cabinets have the sun beating down on them all day long, and so they need more refrigeration, more energy to keep them cold than this one. As you know, cold air is heavier than warm air, so even if I took the lid off, this thing is going to maintain its temperature. But the 2 key reasons are ice cream is scooped at 6 degrees above 0 Fahrenheit. Italian ice is scooped at 16 degrees above 0, much warmer. So since we are having the cabinet being warmer, we don't want the sun beating down on it and affecting the product. The other thing is this formula has no artificial anything in it. No chemicals, no stabilizers, no emulsifiers. Let me backtrack for a second and just say that in ice cream, we do have stabilizers and emulsifiers. A good ice cream has natural ones like guar gum, carrageenan, and these are products that come from seaweed or from gum trees. They're very natural and they work very well in ice cream. Without them, your ice cream, your dish of vanilla ice cream would have a little ring of brown around it as the water separated out of it. So that's why it's in there. You put those same natural chemicals into Italian ice and the product becomes very sticky and gummy. Now there is a good product on the market that I can tell you about if you call me that you can use as a stabilizer, but for the most part I don't use stabilizers. So here's my problem. As the product sits in the cabinet, it separates a little bit. A little bit of the flavor goes to the center of the cabinet. So the server, when they open the lid, you walk into a pastry shop and you ask for a lemon ice. They reach in like this, and you see their arm going like that, and then they pull it out, put it in the cup, and serve it to you. What they're doing is they're remixing it so that you get a nice, even product. Italian ices will last easily 3 days in this cabinet without any chemicals. After longer than that, it starts to separate. So we don't want people to see it separating, and so another reason to use this cabinet. People ask all the time how long it lasts and how do I handle my inventory. Well, I tell people that when you go into the Italian ice business, you're also going into the weather forecasting business. Your best friend is your TV and the weather forecast. When you wake up on Thursday morning and look at you want to get your cup of coffee, turn on the weather channel and see what it's going to be this weekend. Well, this weekend says it's going to be bright and sunny. Well, we'll get down to the factory and make 5 or 6 tubs of lemon ice. Or it's going to rain this weekend. We're not going to sell as much product. So we'll make 1 tub of lemon ice. 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon, guess what? The weather channel was wrong. No surprise there. But the sun breaks out and it's 80 degrees and we need more Italian ice. Well, we can go right back to the batch freezer and make another batch in under 20 minutes, and now we're back in business. So you become very observant of what the weather is. Now that's for serving the product. We're going to make it in the batch freezer. We're going to store it in here and we're going to start serving it right away. If I wanted to do this for wholesale, remember I said this is at 16 degrees above zero. If I want to wholesale this product, meaning make it today and sell it 2 weeks from now, or if you're in Tampa and I'm in Orlando and I want to transport it over to you, very simple. Take this tub and put it into a freezer down to 0. And at 0, this will be hard as a rock. You wouldn't be able to scoop it with a hammer and chisel. But when it's as hard as a rock like that, it's easy to transport. Now, I don't mean for you to go out and buy a $50,000 truck, refrigerated truck, to move your product from Tampa to Orlando. All you have to do, always start small. Build your business cautiously. Don't spend money when you don't have to. Go out and buy some large igloo coolers, because now this stuff is as hard as a block of ice, and I could put 3 or 4 of them into an igloo cooler, put them in the back of my car, and easily drive for an hour without it melting. And that's the way businesses get started. So now we're going to start up this machine. We'll get this making Italian ice. I turned on the dasher and then the refrigeration. And now we'll let it run and we'll come back in a few minutes and we'll see how it's looking. We're just about ready to pull this product out. Did I mention the timer? I forgot to mention the timer. One of the things about the way I build my machines is no gadgets, no whiz bangs, nothing that can break. And that goes as far also as a timer. This is a KitchenAid timer, it cost me $11. If I put a timer onto this machine, the timer will cost $250 just to meet all the codes that this machine is built under. Also, if that timer breaks, it's going to cost you $250 plus $100 labor to get it replaced. So why bother? Spend 11 bucks, get a timer, you set it for the amount of time that the batch is going to take. There it goes now. It says it's ready. And if this timer ever breaks, throw it away. Go buy another one. It costs you 11 bucks instead of $350. That's the way we build the machines. Now let's see if this is ready. Yeah, that opens and closes and cuts off nicely. I'm going to turn off the refrigeration. I'm leaving the dasher or beater spinning, but I'm going to pull the product out. I'm not going to refrigerate it anymore because it's ready to go. Now watch how fast this comes out. That's one. That's it. This is a fabulous product. Now look at the color of this. It's a pale pink from the strawberries. There's no artificial colors in here, no chemicals, just sugar, water, and the fruit. This is a fantastic product. We'll put this in the cabinet and this is ready to serve. Now there's a reason we've worked so hard today, and that is money. The reason that you're here and want to get into business is to make money, and there is nothing more profitable than Italian ice. Here's a 4-ounce portion in a squeeze cup. This is the way we sell it in New York. We actually squeeze it from the bottom and eat it, or it can be put into a dish like that. That portion right there costs 4 cents, and it usually sells for $1.50. Now over here at the large amusement parks, Universal Studios, Disney, SeaWorld, we sell a 16-ounce cup of the same product, pull it out of the machine a little softer, and this costs less than half a penny an ounce. And here we are getting $2.50 for it. And then finally, and the most lucrative, is to sell this as sorbet. Remember I said sorbet and Italian ice are the same product. Here's strawberry Italian ice. Here is strawberry sorbet. Same product, maybe have a little apple, a little cheese. Say, do you want a piece of apple? Here you go. That's our head of security there. And again, this portion costs 4 pennies, and now you're going to get $5. This is the most profitable product you can make in the frozen dessert industry. I think you're going to enjoy being in this business. You're going to like working with my family and my company, and we're going to help to make you a success. Well, that's it. You now know everything there is to know about water ices. This is a fantastic business, one of the biggest money makers that you can do with an Emery Thompson batch freezer. And if you need any help whatsoever, call me, Steve Thompson, at 718-588-7300, or reach me on my personal email at etfreezers@aol.com. Well, I hope you found our DVD helpful, and I hope it raised more questions for you. If it did, I'd like you to contact me. We have a number of ways to do it. Our factory phone number is area code 718-588-7300. If the factory is closed when you call, the tape machine will direct you to my home telephone number. Please call me at home. I really want to help you out in any way I can. My personal email address is etfreezers@gmail.com. That's changed. It's etfreezers@gmail.com. We're also on a new worldwide service called Skype, where you can talk to me directly through your computer. If you'd like to do that, my Skype address is etfreezers. We want your business. We want to help you get into business, and we want to earn the right to do that now and in the future.